Okay, this is Mrs. Heisenmittel, and today we are going to be doing making happy cubes out of Autodesk Inventor. So as you can see, I actually have a set of cubes that I'm physically looking at, and I've taken my ruler and physically measured to get the right numbers. And you can use these same numbers when you do yours if you want to just use my research instead of going ahead and doing your own. So what you're going to do is basically make a square here that is perfect, and then you're going to cut away the parts that you don't need. And so it's basically a subtractive method of making your cubes. You start with it being perfect square, and then you're going to cut away the parts that you don't need. It's kind of like making a sculpture of an elephant and cutting away everything that's not an elephant. You're going to cut away everything that's not your happy cube. And you're going to discover that that's actually fairly easy to do. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to make a new part here, which, there we go, new, and you'll notice that I'm in 2016. If you're in 2014 or 15, it's pretty much the same, just some of the little, I don't know, I guess the tools will sometimes have other options under them. So there is your cube, and so what I'm going to do is I have to make the basic cube first. So I'm going to start a 2D sketch. I'm going to put it on the XZ plane, and you're going to say, why? Well, because I want to extrude it up, not extrude it out. So in this case, I'm going to be drawing it from a top view. So I'm going to be drawing the width here and the depth here, and then I'm going to extrude it its height. So we're going to put it on that plane, so that you can tell I put it on, whoops, there we go, the YZ plane. So now I'm going to draw a rectangle, and I'm going to start at the origin. I'm going to come up, and I've already measured, and I know that 1.5625 is 1 9/16, which is how big that cube is. So then I'm going to tab and do the other side, 1.5625. Now, I could type that in as a fraction, but I just like to type them as decimals. What you can do is notice here, I'll do this one. It's 1 space 9/16, and it'll give me 1 9/16, and it'll actually write it on there. I like to do them as decimals, but that's me. You can do them both ways, and they work fine. Now that I have my square, I finish it. I do my little home view here, and then I'm going to extrude it. And I've already measured and figured out that I'm going to extrude it 5/16 of an inch. I could just put that 5/16 and extrude it that way. Or I can put in the decimals, which in this case is 0.3125. So there we go. There's our cube. So when we home view it, that is our finished, complete cube. So I can't save my feature inside of a sketch. So now that I'm out of the sketch, I can go save as, and I'm going to call it Happy Block number 6 because it's the 6th one I've done today, and hit save. So now that it's all saved, I can add a sketch to this top view because I'm doing everything from the top view. I'm looking, and that's how I'm going to cut out my information. So I'm going to draw a random rectangle here, and I'm going to make it the correct size before I start. So I'm going to go 0.3125, tab, 0.3125, and enter. So what I did was direct entry. Instead of making the square and then dimensioning it, I made it dimensioned while I was making it. I'm going to pull my measurements inside so it's easier for me to see. And then I'm going to look at my block, and I'm going to say, okay, if I'm looking at my block right side up, I have 3 full 5/16 by 5/16 squares across the top, and then I have 2 empty ones here. And so what I'm going to do is grab my square, and I'm going to put it in this upper corner right there. And now I can actually copy and paste it to get another one. And I'm going to put that one right next to it, and I'm going to look and see if that's right. So the one thing you have to be careful of is that you have to have closed loops for it to be able to extrude. So that's why I'm setting my dimensioning to 0, is to make sure I have that closed loop so that I know it's exactly what it should be. So this should be 0.3125. Now it's accepting 4 digits even though it's only showing me 3, and I can go in and mess with that and fix it. And fix that right now. I'm just going to go over here to Tools and Document Settings, and inside of Document Settings is Units, and it's asking you what you want to do. Linear, dimensional display. I can go ahead and select no. You know what? I want as many decimal points as you can give me because I want to see them all. And then I'm going to hit Apply and Close, and notice it changed them all. So now I have as many decimal points as I can possibly handle. So I have 2 cutouts there because there's 1, 2, and those 2 line up. So I know I have 2 cutouts on this side, which you can see I put there. And so I'm looking at it with the number up when I look at it because that helps me to kind of see it. And so I need another one of those squares under here. So I'm going to go ahead and paste another one. I'm going to drag it down here. And once again, I'm going to go over to my Sketch tab, and I'm going to dimension that so that those are 0 there. And then I'm going to place it 0 here just to be on the safe side. So now I know I have those 3 cutouts right here on my shape. And then I have a full and then a cutout. So I'm going to paste, and well, I have to get out of dimensioning, right click OK. Then I'm going to paste another one and grab that because all of these are done as squares, which makes it really easy. So I'm going to come down here, and I know that the full piece is also 0.3125. Yeah, I'm just double checking. So 0.3125, so I know that that's down correctly, and I know that this should be lined up. Yep, it is correctly. And so now I have my cutouts here. I have my full and I have another cutout. Now I need 2 fulls across the bottom and then a cutout here. So I'm using my pan here by pressing down on my scrolly wheel, and I'm going to right click OK to get out of dimensioning. I'm going to go to paste. Whoops, I accidentally hit the wrong thing there. Let's see if I can do it correctly. Yep, which pasted something which is incorrect. Okay, so it didn't like that, so I'm going to go ahead and highlight one of these and right click copy and then right click paste. You could also do a Control V. So now that I have that, I should be able to grab it and move it to where I want it, which is going to be, I need 2 over and then 1 here. So I'm going to go ahead and dimension from here to the bottom as a 0. And then I need to dimension over to there, needs to be 1 full width. So 0.3125. So it scooches it over. So now I have essentially 1 full block here, 1 full block there, and then I have my cutaway block. So when I'm looking at it, I have 2 fulls, a cutaway, and then I need 2 cutaways, and then 1 cutaway up. So again, I should be able to OK, and then paste, or Control V also works on your keyboard. And I'm going to put this guy right in the corner, right there. So that now, as you can see, there's my cube again, right side up. So there's my 2 fulls, my cutaway. I have a full next to it, and then I've got 2 cutaways up this way. So I placed him exactly in the corner. So let's see if we can grab one more and paste that right there. And that should do it. And then, so I have 2 cutaways. I need a full and 1 cutaway right there underneath. So we're going to go here and paste one more. And whoops, come on, my mouse is being weird here. Grab that and pull it over. And then I'm going to dimension from there over to there is going to be a 0. So I know it lines up. And then from there to there is going to be the 0.3125, which it is. So I get dimensioning. So then, and you always want to check as you go. So I'm going to finish my sketch and check it. I'm going to save, and then I'm going to try extruding it. And the first thing I have to do is tell it what profiles to extrude. So I'm going to click each of my squares first, and then I'm going to go change my extrude feature to make it a cut instead of a positive extrude. So it's now a negative extrude. Hit OK. And then I always like to turn it, look at the top view, and see if it matches what I have in my hand, which is 2 across, 3 cutaways there to make that little stair-steppy, full on both sides line up, cutaway on both sides line up, 2 fulls, a cutaway in the center, and a cutaway on the edge. So that is my cube number 6. So now that I have that all cut up, I'm going to save it, and then you can actually use one cube, do a save as, name it for the new cube, and then just move your squares around to cut out different pieces, so it makes your life a little bit easier. So right now what you can see on the screen is my 4th happy cube, and I'm going to turn it into my 5th one by changing where the squares are. So I'm going to first go into Extrusion 2, right click, and edit the sketch. And what I'm going to do is basically take the picture that you see on the screen and where all of my squares are and turn those into what I need for the 5th copy of the cube. So I'm just going to look at the cube and see that I have 2 cutouts right at the top, which okay, so what I'm going to do is just double click there and turn that into a 0, so it scooches those 2 together. So now I have these 2 here ready to go, so they're cut out, but I have 2 on the other side that I need. And this block here is sitting all by itself, so I'm just going to highlight it, right click, copy it, come over here and paste it. And it does not necessarily paste all of the dimensions correctly, but in this case that should be okay because it's exactly the right size. It pasted those interior dimensions correctly. So I have 2 cutouts, a full piece, and 2 cutouts. Then I come down here and these both need to be full. So that means I need to move this character here. Well, there's a couple of ways to do it. Actually, my favorite is to just delete the lines that you don't need and the pieces that you don't need, and so then you end up with there. So they're gone, and then I should be able to right click, paste another one of these squares and put it over here so we can match it up so that we have 2 fulls right there. So we have 2 cutouts on the top with a full in the middle, then we have 2 fulls, and then we're going to need 2 cutouts, and this both need to be full. So I'm going to come down here and delete and start deleting out what I don't want. Now you're going to say, well, are you sure it's lined up correctly? Because when you go through and you start deleting stuff, it doesn't always line up correctly. So let's see. It's not going to let me get just that line, is it? There it is. Delete. There we go. So in order to line it up correctly, I'm going to use my dimension tool. Click, click, pull off and click, and it's 3125, which is what I want. That is the correct measurement that I want. So now I have 2 cutouts at the top, 2 fulls, 2 cutouts, 2 fulls. This one needs to be full over here. So I'm going to click down on my scroller wheel here so I can pan. So there's 2 fulls right there. So I'm good. But there needs to be a cutout right here, and then this corner has 2 cutouts. So this guy here is in the wrong place. So first I'm going to get out of dimensioning, and then I'm going to go in and start deleting these lines. Oops, which it doesn't like. There we go. So that I can get rid of. And I like to use the right click delete just so you can kind of see what I'm doing, but you can totally use the delete key on your keyboard as well. So I should be able to actually paste, there it is, this guy, and then I'm going to drag him over here, and notice I have no idea where he's supposed to go. It'll snap to the bottom here, but I need to dimension to actually get it so that I have a full right there in the middle, which is going to be the same as that width. So I'm just going to click on it, enter, and it takes a full width and scooches it over. So now I have two cutouts here, a full, a cutout, and a full. So that should do it. I'm going to finish my sketch, and then I'm going to hit accept when I get the error message, and it looks like it's all gone away, but hold on a second. I'm going to right click save as before I mess anything up, and because you can't save in a sketch, so I'm going to change it to Happy Cube 5, save, and now see extrusion 2 has this exclamation point on it. I'm going to right click and edit that feature. So now I should be able to click the profile and select, oops, the other pieces that I want it to delete, which it's not working correctly. So hold on, let's go back, edit, feature, profile, and for some bizarre reason it's not letting me cut those. Oh, there's one I can cut, but this one it won't. Okay, so sometimes you'll run into this. It's a problem on the sketch, so I'm going to edit the sketch again, and I'm going to go look at what's down here and say, okay, this must be slightly not even at the bottom, which is definitely possible. So I'm going to go from here to the very bottom of this, and that should be correct. That's over, and it wouldn't let me cut this one up here either. So let's go and make sure that that is, whoops, escape. I want basically that to be lined up here at 0 is what I want, so that hopefully all my lines are in there correctly. Accept, edit the feature, and then I should be able to use profile to delete those. Of course, it's not letting me because they're not green. So those squares, it's not letting me delete, which I don't understand. So when this happens, I'm going to go to Edit Sketch, and it obviously does not like a couple of these guys, so this is my guess as to why it doesn't like them. I don't know why. I'm just going to go in and delete, and because I need a square there, I'm just going to go in, right click, and delete all of that. And for some reason, yeah, it doesn't like that either, so we'll delete that. And see if it'll let me delete anything off of here. There we go. And then we'll go copy this, because this is a full square, and we'll copy it and paste it. And now we'll put it here, but this time I'm actually going to dimension from the bottom of that to the very bottom of my total cube, make it 0. So I know it lines up, and then the distance from here to there should also be 0. Now, that's one fix. Let's see if that did the job. So now I finish my sketch, and I edit my extrusion by editing the feature, and now I should be able to select that profile, and now I can delete it. So the other one it won't let me delete is this guy. I have no idea why it won't let me delete it, but that's okay, because I'm going to go solve it the exact same way I did the last one. I'm going to edit, right-click, edit the sketch, pan down so I can see it. I'm going to highlight that sucker and delete him, because when all else fails, just delete it. Paste in a new one, drag it over, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to make sure that it is exactly 0.3125 away from that edge, and it's going to be exactly 0 away from the bottom edge, to make sure that you actually have a full connection, because it won't extrude anything that's an open loop, which is somehow I managed an open loop. See, it's green. It'll probably let me do it this time. Let's hit profile and see. So over to there and click, and then back up and okay, and there we go. So now when you look at the top, you can see that I have two cutouts with a full in the center, fulls here, cutouts, full, full, cutout, cutout, full, cutout, with a full in the center. So now that I'm sure it's right, I'm going to go ahead and go back to my home view here, and I'm going to save it. And that's how you take one happy cube square and turn it into the next one.